The following program contains views that are not those of WVTC, iNetworks Communications, their subsidiaries, affiliates, or financial supporters.
Winning victory through Christ, WVTC Allsip Chicago, and iNetworks Communications.
Welcome to Exposing the Narratives, where we examine, reveal, and discuss various topics, events, and of course, the narratives in the spirit of kingdom building through Jesus Christ. Hosted by three awesome men of God, Reverend Morris, aka Frankie D, Pastor Clarence W. Holloway III, pastor of Living Water MB Church, and Pastor Eric Taylor, aka Tae, pastor of Manifest Ministries. And now, join us in Exposing the Narrative.
Welcome everybody to Exposing Narrative. I'm so happy to be here today. I'm Tae, Pastor E.
What's going on?
Frankie D.
What's going on?
What's going on, everybody? We're so excited tonight. Always excited to get together. We all kind of been busy here and there, and sometimes one of us missing. But the blessing what God has done for us, bringing through us together, we can all hold it down. That's having this three combination here. But anyway, we'll get right into it today. Well, thank you all for joining us. Glad you came in. We have a really hot topic. There's no way if you live in America that you can get around this topic because it's in your face every day on the news. Sometimes maybe in the news in your neighborhood community. We're going to be discussing the crime, the causes of crime, how do we prevent crime from every angle on what's going with crime because it's everywhere. When you live in a certain city, you think it's on your city you hear about, but things going everywhere. And sometimes you ain't hearing about it. So many things don't get reported. So right now we're going to talk about crime, the effects of crime, prevent crime, where does it come from? Crime. Let's get started. Take it away, my buddy, Pastor Clarence.
Well, one of the things, not just crime, but in our city, violence.
Okay. Violence. Okay, right. Okay, violence. Okay.
You hear so many people, oh, violence is a crime. Violence is on the rise. Racism has been on the rise. We had the Obama years, and then we had the Trump years where racism and racist people felt emboldened. The FBI reported that there had been more attacks on Congress in the years that Trump was in office. 46 was in office. But what I wanted to pose today is I came across some information. Pastor Julia Porter's father, Dr. John Kwame R. Porter, wrote several books, and one of the books he wrote was about it was almost an autobiography about Black violence, and he used a context of male Black violence. And he started off with a biblical point. If we trace back, you said crime, but if we trace back violence, which ultimately is criminal, the first violent act or the first crime ever committed, would you say was when Cain killed Abel?
Okay, yeah, that's good place, yeah.
So Cain killed Abel, and God said, "Am I?" And Abel said to God, "Am I my brother's keeper?" We all remember New Jack City, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what was their line? "I'm my brother's keeper." Mm-hmm. Yes, I am. Mm-hmm. And the origin of all of this it doesn't start in our DNA. We are not intrinsically violent. We're not born violent as Black people, Black males. It's not in our genes. It's not in our DNA. Male Blacks today cannot, male Blacks today cannot be understood without analyzing the nearly 400 years of oppression, unrelenting and unprecedented mistreatment of Black people in America. The contemporary definition of violence represents only a part of the reason why so much violence is associated with urban Black males. Listen to the definition he gives. The generic definition of violence suggests that violence is any act which a person or group threatens another person or group with physical harm or injury. While a growing number of females are involved in violent acts, the record reveals that far more males commit violent acts against other people and property, Blacks as well as whites, both male and female, are increasingly found guilty under this generic definition.
No, quick. You said this person. Who is this? You get this article from? You didn't. You said he said.
Not an article. It's a book that Dr. Reverend John Kwame R. Porter wrote. He was a retired Methodist pastor of a prominent church in the Inglewood area. He was Harold Washington's campaign manager at one point. Him and Lou Palmer started the 100 Black Men. If you Google him, you'll know who he is. I just happen to be friends with his daughter, and I've been reading some of his books.
Okay, yeah. And I was just curious. You say he and refer to somebody, so the audience need to know exactly who is this reference coming from. So that's what I was saying, actually.
Not only references, but these are the facts of our generation. You know, in the 90s, there were 2.5 million Black males in jail in the 90s, in the U.S., in the criminal justice system. And in the early 2000s, it doubled to 5.2 million people.
Yeah. Well, there are those who don't know. It's been said a while back that incarcerating people, it's a business. It's money to be made. Building prisons is a business. But I want to get to the point of saying, how do we? It helps with state prison too. That's another whole topic next time, and I'll put the date on that too. It's all about business and money. And the whole big thing is all about money. But the thing is, it's almost like a slight genocide too. But the thing I want to bring up here is this. So where do we go from here? A lot of people address violence, bring up violence. And we have touched on violence one time, maybe a month or so back, a couple months back. So where do we go from here? I mean, nobody. You may have a correct answer, but as us being men of God and talk show hosts, what do we think? Do you have that right answer? But where do we go from here? Because a lot of people refer to it being end times and things like that. And some things is not end times. It is end times, but some things is based on that. Where do we go from here?
Well, Franklin, I haven't heard your voice.
Well, that's because I'm just listening to your general. So go ahead. I tune in. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, one of the things and reading and listening to people. People suggest a friend of mine who's crossed over from the other side. And when I say crossed over from the other side, when we were growing up, when we played cops and robbers or whatever, it was like it didn't matter which side of the gun you were on. Your life was in danger. If you were the one that wore the badge, or if you were the bad guy that wore the black cowboy hat, which side of the gun are you on? And in our day and age, when you hear of 11-year-olds carjacking people, I can't even imagine. I can imagine driving at 11 because I did, but I can't imagine stealing someone's car at gunpoint at 11.
Yeah,
I
no, I'm
couldn't.
saying, and I'm saying, but the question I was posing was, where do we go from here? Now we know we out on the news, we hear some everything, and some people live in neighborhoods that see the news, they hear more things than in their neighborhood in the news. What I'm saying is,
Oh
where do
yeah,
we go from here? What do you think? What do you think,
I,
Frankie D? What do you think we go from here? We know everything. I mean, we got all individually bring up stories from our past, stories what's going on. It's constant stuff going on. So what do we think we go from here? As you say, books. There was a guy called Thomas Sowell. Thomas Sowell, way before your gentleman was writing books, Thomas Sowell wrote a book, made a whole lot of sense on how we got to this point. Even what's his name? The one that's sick now. He the one wrote Black Liberals, White Liberals, Black Rednecks. I mean, so it's a lot. It's a lot of stuff out there written about that. But where do we go from here?
What was Thomas Sowell's suggestion?
It wasn't a suggestion. He just talked about how we kind of got to this point of being separated way before Martin Luther King's time. He went back going identifying crime way back when we came here as as individuals from being brought in from slavery and things like that to have crime. As a matter of fact, there was some free blacks came here first. If you guys know, there's about 40 free blacks came here first before slavery came. But how it got to this point and things like that, where we got and what kind of made it swept where it is now. He talked about that. So we know about those who don't know how it came to be, but where do we go from here? You know what I'm saying?
Well, you got to look at it from a historical point of view. What I just said, we suffer from 400 years of free labor, slavery that was embedded, and then once you got freedom, you became the police society. Your group was police. There wouldn't be police if they wouldn't have never freed the slaves. They wouldn't have invented policing. If
that's not true, but okay.
Okay, then tell me what's true.
Okay, Wyatt Earp wasn't chasing black people. Elliot Ness wasn't chasing black people.
Before
it was a crime. So I would say, nobody believe that. That's his opinion. It wasn't created for black people. Police were created way before it was involved. It became a target of that, but it was
policing. I'm not talking about constables and people obeying the law. I'm talking about when they set the basic principles of policing and enforcing the law was because they wanted black people to still have free labor. Now, if you don't believe me, look it up.
Now, I'm going to shift the gears again back to what I'm saying, rewind this tape, go back. Where do we go from here? What I think we have to look. Okay, we know what, it's one thing. It's one thing to keep talking about what caused it, which is good. You have to know that and see if everybody identify. But sometimes people are screaming, okay, what do we do? Where do we go from here? It's not a one big solution, but just blocks. Where do we go from here? Where do we start from here? Do we have a big summit and we start to
I'm tired of talking.
Yuppie community, what do we do? I mean, so why are we having the show then? you just talking. I'm saying, what do we do?
I'm tired.
Are you trying to wake people up with this saying? We're gonna wake up. Maybe we get to where it caused it. Maybe that may change people's minds. You know, wow, I ain't realize what caused it. So I'm gonna act different now, so I know why I'm doing this. Is that what the approach you're saying?
Listen, if you want to decrease the violence, decrease the criminal activity, you must build the family. Bottom line, you have to put families first. We had that clip, but we weren't able to present it. But when you ask me, what are we to do now? I'm telling you, I've talked to people. People want to bring in the National Guard, man. They want to bring in the National Guard and live in a state of emergency. That's how bad it is. People are willing to give up their freedoms and liberties to
Have a
feel
little peace. So I mean, that's one solution that somebody thinks, saying, "Hey, I need martial law. I need this going on. I need this. I need the guards come in." That's what I feel. So what do you feel, that Frankie D? What do you feel can be done? None of us got the right answer. God got the right answer. So what do you feel should be done?
You know, I think this train started a long time ago, way before our time. It started even back in the day when they divided us. Back to when it's in Africa, they had one tribe turning against another to sell us into slavery. It's said that a house divided will surely fall. And I believe that's the same with the race. I believe that they have been dividing us for as long as I remember.
So you say you should try to pull us back together.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Absolutely.
So what do you think?
The only way to be able to get through what we're going through is to be able to come on one accord. Until we finally decide to come on one accord and stop having our house divided the way it is, and be okay with it being divided, we're gonna keep on going through the same thing over and over again. You think about it, even in slavery, they divided up the slaves. You had your house ends, you had field ones.
Okay.
They divided, and what's the name? And so they put the house against the ones in the field.
Yeah, but I'm saying for right now. So we say if we get everybody educated on it, and say it does help. Sometimes for some people, it do help to understand why I got this way, how I got there.
Yeah,
And
but
that's
see,
and I think
but
everybody
even
should.
but even now, our houses are still divided.
Okay,
You don't have fathers in the households the way we had fathers in the household back in the day.
Okay, so so right now, we say is this okay? So you figure we should start to do now? You start to counsel fathers, give them jobs, give money. What are you saying if we could do certain areas and do certain people?
Okay.
We don't have to, I'm saying that you get the total solution. I'm saying, what do you feel they could start doing? But in layman terms, what could they start doing? Yeah, a part of it. Yeah, it's a good way to put it. Yeah, yeah.
And look at the word he kept repeating, even after he came from Africa. The house. We have to put the home back in order.
What does that look like? If you had to do that in layman terms, and say, now you may not have it, so we had to say, grab this. Like, for example, this is one thing I said. I think is the stupidest thing in the world. Whoever I did was to put hardened criminals in with first offenders who done barely nothing. First of all, some of them first offenders, they wasn't a color, they would never to jail no way. But now I think it's kind of because what happens is I've been told by a lot of people that have been to jail for those small things. They say they come out as a super criminal because they've been to criminal university by the time they get around them hardened criminals. I think it should be certain people. If you do certain crimes, you shouldn't go to, if you're a nonviolent criminal, dealer stuff here, to just throw you away and do a little genocide of men, put you in a facility where it's very light. You can learn and be rehabilitated. It's easy to really rehabilitate a person who hasn't done that much versus a person who ran a bunch of hardened criminals. That's not the total solution, but that's one thing and it can help.
Do you understand the penal system of Illinois?
Yes, I understand what I'm saying. Look what I'm saying. We're off right now. Enough for understand. I understand everything you're saying. I'm saying right now in layman terms, if you could suggest something that would help. That's what I'm going from. Let's don't educate people no more on what happened, what is. How can we do something? If you had a part of a piece that can fix it, let's go from there. No more history lessons. No more what is. And somebody say right now, what can we do?
You can't just pass up what you just said.
What?
About being put in jail.
I'm saying if right now, if you do this right now, whatever been done in the past is done. I'm saying something can be done right now. They say, Pastor Taylor, what could I do right now? If I do anything you want to do, you got one thing. Tell me one thing that you think would help. And then everybody know, well, see, back in the past, they're doing now. They didn't want to ask you. Ask you right now if you do the one thing. Dan said what he do, put the family together. Okay, so how would that look like? But then say, go to communities and find out where the father is, help get the father a job, pull a program together, bring these guys together.
But at this point,
realistic.
Huh?
You put a man back in the house.
No. I didn't say do that. What I was saying was, I want you guys to talk about what happened, what is. If someone told you right now, don't give me that crap about what happened. If I told you right now, put your in your mouth and say, listen, tell me right now if I can do one thing that would make it better right now. I don't hear about this guy, what this guy wrote, whose sister gave you this. I want to hear about right now. What can we do right now? One thing that might help. What would it be? Bam! Look at everybody. Look like y'all look like deer headlights.
The one thing we can do, the one thing that we can do.
What's that?
Outside of our spirituality and praying is to take the time to train our young men and our young ladies in conflict resolution.
Okay, so okay.
The one thing.
Okay.
But see, you mentioned so many other things.
No. What I was saying was give an example. I was actually point blank. What actually I said.
I believe at
you get
this
where I'm going.
point. I
listen to the point.
I believe at this.
The matter is, family. God instituted the family.
Okay. We know how to hit them. I'm saying if someone asked, like you just did, if I ask you one thing we could do, right, and you answer
I believe
one thing we can do.
I believe that we need to not just educate, but I also believe that we need to almost desensitize.
Desensitize.
We are.
Wait. Let him say.
Let me finish.
Let's this point. Go ahead.
The mental side of things.
So
we need help on the mental side of things, because I believe that a lot of this stuff comes from mental.
Okay, got you. Now hear what I'm saying. Now we have two things there. That's what I'm saying. Two great things. I'm gonna say it's the first solution. You said one thing came to mind with you was that's an action move, saying, hey, we take people and we talk to young people about how to conflict resolution. Let me cover it. That's a great thing. One thing. Dan says very interesting. He right. Since taking people understand some mental help, everybody sit down, because we all can use that to how we get to move forward, get some of these things we've been conditioned all these years, get that here, think a new way. So that's a good thing. That's an action move. You know, I told you my action move would be, as people do things, don't lock the person that was selling some stuff on the corner up with this person that is shot up 4 people. That's my thing is have a certain area of person. This person can be rehabilitated because they haven't done that. They couldn't be clocked with this nutcase. So I say put them over here. It's not for you to defend or criticize what I'm saying. This is just somebody came and asked me the same question. Hey, what would you do? Here's the one thing I'm picking. And one thing I pick, I say, do. If she would do these things here, take these group of people here, have facility for them that's not about jail. It's about really trying to get them wherever they should at GED, education, entrepreneurship, get them in that way. So when they do this little time, it's more productive, make them understand what they did, how it help to the community. Don't lock the person that then murdered people and tapped their mother and sister and did that stuff. Don't lock them up with them. That's another level. And this is one thing. If you got another one, give a number 2. We get 3 things. Let's get 3 more. Let's get 6 now.
I can't get past what you're saying.
No, you see what you're doing. You're too busy trying to look for somebody. Somebody put you in a room. You wouldn't hear me. You didn't hear me. And they say, "What would you do?" Just say what you would do. I'm not there. I'm not the zoo from Superman. I mean, from Flintstones on the wall to tell you
what you're saying. As an ex-offender, I can't get past what you're saying.
We're saying, listen. That's cool. It doesn't matter.
Because you have not experienced it.
What I'm saying. Listen what I'm saying. Listen what I'm saying to you. You still going from trying to take logic of my thing. Let me have my opinion. That's what's wrong with black people sometimes. We're so busy trying to sit up and critique each other instead of taking the point. And that's part of that stuff that Dan just talked about is a part. Everybody listen, tune in, type it in. See, that's the part Blair's about. You feel somebody, I got it because I got to just answer what you ask. That's what's wrong. We get in the room. I got someone time said one of the things hurt black people with Obama was this here. Listen, he helped Obama. The hurt for Obama was they said
you know something.
They say black people had no agenda.
You know something. You all are showing the main reason why black folks don't get along. Y'all,
No.
we can't even have a conversation for 20 minutes
No,
without
see,
yelling at each other.
I didn't
But
say
do you understand what I'm saying? But my point is this.
I didn't ask him to dissect what I
Yeah,
did.
but my
asked
point
him,
is,
answer what you asked and be
You-
quiet and go to the next thing. That's what you're supposed to do.
You all are showing the example. The reason why it is that black folks are having issues now because we don't know how to communicate without
Get loud. Okay.
or getting violent.
Listen,
And see, and
That's why
that's
we all in
we have
separate
violent
rooms
side.
right
Okay,
now.
listen. I'm asking right now, sir. Could you just answer what you're asked? Stick with the program. If I tell you to run the ball, don't worry about who's quarterbacking the ball. Just run the ball. I asked you a simple question. You did that. Then let's move to the next level. Okay, next level is it. Do you have anything else? Sometimes that's why we can't move forward. Okay, what color you are. When I was one black guy, managed a whole bunch of white people, it was the same thing. I asked Johnny to do this. He's worried about Rebecca's doing. I'm saying, Johnny, just worry about what you're doing. Don't worry about Rebecca. What I'm saying is here, I asked you a question. What would you do if I asked you to room with you? If Michael, the archangel, came and said, "What do you want, Clarence?" Well, I want to hear what that. No, you ask what you want. So I'm asking what you want. You say this is what you would do. Okay, boom, next person. Now I come back to that person. That's what I'm saying. Let's don't critique each other. Just answer what you ask. Because I can simply tell you what I can say. I don't think conflict resolution. We're not doing. That's what's wrong with us. We gotta stop doing. Now go to the next thing. Move on.
You got 4 minutes now.
Okay, and you wasted those instead of doing what you got asked to do.
No, because
no, you got to analyze again. Just move on. I think anybody, if I had 99 people in the room, 99 would say, I know what he's saying. He's saying this extra with it. I said, if you could ask your point, you said what it is. Now, can I sit and critique what you said? Yes. As a person who have sometimes tension things and had to deal with people. I'm the person. Let me tell you. You say you ex-offender. I'm the person who get upset sometimes, and they would take a baseball bat and knock somebody upside the head. I'm the person. My cousin said, "This dude's likely to kill somebody one day." I'm that person. So I didn't say and say what you were saying was wrong. I just let you go ahead and say what you said. Just don't dissect each other. Just say what you got to say.
You just didn't get caught.
You don't miss one. You miss one.
No.
I'm simply telling you, what's the next thing? Okay, think about it. Think about it, man. I'm gonna mute you. Sat. Now, next thing, Dana, you up next. If you had one more thing to do that was to ask you, what's the second thing you would do that would help people? What would you say?
Give them hope.
Give them hope. How does that look like?
Training for jobs. Different things to be able to level the playing field. If we're going to do anything, try to level the playing field because the playing field is not leveled.
Okay. All right.
So
Back to you now.
We have to give them ways. We have to create things to be able to play play in the level field as much as possible.
I like it. And then Crystal. Next, number 2, go it again.
I have to go.
Start at home. Yep.
I have to go to class, but
this is class right now for you. You tell Dr. Watts that we ain't talking about this stuff here.
I would
tell Bishop Dr. Watts that we talking about some good stuff going on right here.
I would love to continue.
And we don't want you to go nowhere. Tell when we write your permission slip. Give Dana your permission slip. Dana, forward that permission slip to me so I can sign it.
Forward it right now.
I signed it. You be down at 7 now.
Love to continue this conversation, gentlemen, but I paid too much money.
What?
I paid too much money.
Man.
Not to learn.
I could have got you in free.
How to be my brother's keeper.
I'm gonna teach you how to get those things free.
Hey man. Well, we love you, bro.
Love you.
You
bro.
have a good class and everything else, and
Dude.
we'll see you enjoy that sunny California.
And listen quietly now. Don't be off the suggestions. Just listen.
Goodbye.
Take that with you.
Goodbye.
Take that with you. Use that. Take that with you.
Goodbye.
Okay. You can't lose with the stuff I use. Reverend Knight, 1973. Reverend Knight, 1973.
Goodbye.
Reverend Knight, 1973. Hey, y'all, Reverend Knight, those who young, Reverend Knight was instrumental, a very interesting pastor back in the day, and he had a lot of cool lines he said. And he didn't have, funny reputation, but he was a real cool
You
minister
you
that
you
kind of.
you know one thing is that Minister Harris, Benita Harris, she's absolutely positive, right? We, like I said earlier, we got to start a home because the
Right.
house has been divided for so long.
Yes.
When I look at young people going to fill out resumes and applications and things like that, I mean, I saw a person come in with house shoes on to fill out application
Mm-hmm.
with pajamas on.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at this, and we need to train our youth,
Yeah.
and we're to the point now that they don't want to listen to what we have to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So where do we go from here? We have to start back at the basics.
The next thing I said is the school system within the urban community. The school systems are being out of those, and they're horrible. We upgrade. I this point of time I do stuff for teaching kids production. So then I go into school in one community, go to school in a suburb. It's entirely different. Entirely different. So
Oh, absolutely,
it's ridiculous. I mean,
absolutely. I went to home with Flossmoor. So yeah, so it's like night and day
exactly,
to
yeah.
friends in high school and the city when I was going, night and day.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, they looked at me, they're like, "You got what at your school?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm glad you brought up school. The problem is nowadays is that the teachers don't even have control because
Right.
the parents won't allow them to teach them
Mm-hmm.
because they're afraid to talk to the parents of being afraid that they're going to get jumped by the student or jumped by their parents.
Yeah, but what you said, those solutions we talked about at first, the one he said was good. The conflict resolution that would help with
Yeah.
that. What you said it would help a whole lot. You saying program because you had what you said. I can envision that if you're talking about, I can see adult males having one, this age having one that would help in that. It's almost like having therapy for us. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
So
Because
so that would help in the schools.
think about it like this. When we was coming up, you might have saw maybe in a year, maybe you might have heard one person dying that you might have known, or even if that.
Mhm.
Nowadays, these young people are dealing with um young people that they know dying on a regular basis,
Right.
and that to me is causing mental breakdown. Into I couldn't imagine going and living and watching my friends die day in and day out, or people that my cousins, the younger generation, just dying the way they're dying.
Mhm.
We need therapy, all of
Yeah.
us,
Yeah.
and that's not including the parents, the aunties, the
All
uncles
of us.
that have to deal with it.
All
All
of
of
us.
us need some type of
Exactly.
therapy along the way.
For every level. I mean,
Good evening, there, Miss Cheryl.
What you say from every like I agree. I'm saying I've said from every level, all of us need it, and it's obviously mandatory so we can get our program better. Because if you're African American in America, you have some form of conditioning that you may have did better than this person, but you've been conditioned in some kind of way just from the fact of the system. So I definitely agree with you on that. I would say definitely in improve the communities. One thing my mother did, I didn't realize. It's
Good
funny.
morning, Avis.
I
Good
didn't
evening.
realize how great she did this back in the day when I was a kid. My mother would take me, our children, my family. She'd take us, and she would take us every now and then out of the neighborhood, out of the hood, and show us different things, and let's spend time in different places so we could see. Because my father wasn't a father, so basically we're a single parent home. But then what she did was she allowed us to go out and see. It's besides the hood, it's something outside of the hood. Take a look at this. So I grew up knowing that all neighborhoods didn't look like this. We didn't. Matter of fact, it's funny. My friends used to laugh with a kid. Like I remember a kid back in the day. This don't happen too much like today times, but when I was little, it was always the shiny stuff around because we have broken glass bottles within. On the street and much grass was dirt, and it'd be shiny. We had so many things to do. Be careful going to do certain things. We go through and pick up the broken glass bottles from the back in the day, from the broken something back in the day. Them old wine called the Richards, White Irish Rose, and broken bottles from different stuff like that. White Pope, all broken all in the vacant lots. So See, like, it shine like glitter. So much broken glass back in the days. People blow some bottles. So you don't see many bottles now, many bottles around. But back then, someone would take me out of the community. You could see how Park Districts was. It wasn't as better than see, even though it was better then as now, but still, she took us out like that. I didn't realize how great that was. Like older to see how it conditioned me. See, wow, there's something beyond our neighborhood here. And
when in the suburbs, what they did was, in black communities, they start taking out the basketball hoops.
Mhm.
They started taking away different programs that we used to might be able to be able to do it. Our youth don't have too many programs the way they
Mhm.
used to have programs.
Right.
So that's another. We need to give them something to do beyond what's the name. But the problem is that a lot of people are afraid to have programs now because of the violence.
Yeah.
So we have to figure out a way of getting these guns off the street. Number
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
because these guns are not coming from Inglewood. They're
Right.
not made here. So they're
Right.
coming in. So number one, yeah, that's a whole entire totally different
Right.
story,
Yeah. But you're right.
as far as that is concerned.
Mhm.
But we all know who it is that's doing the shooting. We all know
Mhm.
who it is that are game banging. We all know who it is. If it's not our cousin, if it's not our son, if
Mhm.
it's not our nephews, if it's not our second, third, fourth cousin, we all know who they are. But
Mhm.
we choose to turn an eye because we don't want to have nothing to do with it.
Mhm.
And that blind eye
Mhm.
has shifted, and
Mhm.
now it's gotten to the point now that it's almost out of control. That,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, what else can you do now
Mhm.
at this point except for be able to come on one accord?
Mhm. Yeah. And sometimes where you're right, people are nervous about doing stuff. Back to I think those things we talked about, the conflict resolution, help get the guns, the mental thing you talked about, those things. Even I said the stuff that people do so bad, you don't lock like he said ex offender. I know you're trying to go here, but I'm saying I've talked to people too, and it's a blessing that he's able to come out. Pastor Clinton shared a story one day. It's a blessing that he's able to come out like he as well as he did to deal with that and to totally turn his life around. And that's unfortunate that he went through that, but it's a blessing that he was fortunate that he got out of it. And I know it's not many people of color don't have family members who went through the same thing, So I have family members the same thing, and I know that's what I've been told from family members that it's like they get educated up in there even more. That's what I'm saying. You put them around the wrong people, so right. So it helped. I would say too. It's like even the park districts. I know. So when I was working at the park, uh, I was contracted with Naperville Park District or Winnetka Park District,
Mhm.
and it was a whole lot different from some
It's a whole lot
Chicago park
different.
districts.
Oh,
It was like,
absolutely.
some of Naperville Park was like country clubs. When I was at Winnetka,
Yeah,
and I was in a program, and it was so plush up there. It was, oh my
yeah.
God! It's like it's like the program was just there's naturally it's to pay me twice as much, but it was the
Even the
park district
football,
was, oh my God.
even like the football programs. My son played for the Naperville Patriots when he was coming up, and their facility was almost like our college facilities, our high school facility. They were practicing in a bubble indoors when it was snowing and when it got cold outside. Literally practicing in a bubble. And the equipment they had, this is high school stuff
Right?
at the
Yeah.
age of third, fourth, and fifth grade.
Right. Yeah. I tell you what, funny this one. Right. It's just a total difference. Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad you're back. Get to put your mask on. They mask it up out there, huh?
I mask up.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
So I came in the middle of a conversation, so I don't have the information, so I won't make any assumptions.
Mhm.
So y'all were throwing money at the problem once again.
Okay. All right. So okay. All right. So anyway,
Who, who,
yeah.
who, who threw money in the problem?
I said
Who
I
mentioned
came
money?
in. I came in the middle of a conversation. You mentioned different areas that had money compared to other areas that didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He don't know. He don't
Yeah,
go
you,
first. So
yeah,
he
you
did the
see,
right.
yeah, yeah. You just
I
came in the
came
middle of
in
a
the middle of a
conversation.
No,
conversation.
Yeah,
he
and
did the
so
right
yeah,
thing. So we go to a new conversation where he can fit in because he definitely, we playing
yeah, yeah,
football and he out there in the golf field. So let's
yeah.
get him back on the
Wait,
But
same
but
team.
but we
Yeah.
got honesty.
y'all
We
don't
we
even
got
want
to
to talk about football.
Yeah. Yeah.
we
Neither
yeah.
one of y'all.
That's
A
that's exactly
Green
what I was
Bay,
about to
a
say.
Green Bay
That's
fan
what I was
and a
about to say.
Bears
Yeah,
fan.
Yeah.
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 That's what
So
I was about to
Y'all
say.
don't even want to talk about football.
yeah. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Talking about what's the Raiders record?
We ain't talking about record. We
1
talking
and 3.
commitment
Oh,
to
okay, okay.
excellence.
I just
They
wanted to know.
barely won that
The
one.
most penalized team in the NFL.
That's because they're the most dirtiest team in the NFL. So yeah, so
You ain't cheating. You ain't trying to win.
Yeah. The actually Raiders always had a history. They had a history of most steroids and everything in the NFL. They always had that. Yeah.
yeah, this is exposing the narrative, and
Yeah.
we're gonna expose the Raiders right now.
No, what you need to expose is the city of Chicago to some love. That's what you need to expose them to. Some love.
Yeah. So is that gonna,
Okay.
what
So go ahead
the
and
conference,
finish.
the conference you at? Are they gonna talk about any violence in the city streets? Not just Chicago, all around.
This conference is about expository preaching. This is about context and culture.
Gotcha. Okay.
And one of the things on yesterday, I preached about culture. I preached about when God troubled the people and gave them distress. When God troubled the people, you had to find out that it was a God problem and only a God could solve that problem. We have a violence problem, and Ceasefire, who tried to use people who were formerly violent to stop the violence, didn't work. So you need to go into the home. You need to go to where the problem lies and teach and be patient and be present. You asked me for some other ideas. We must be present in these kids' lives. Somebody get out of jail, you need to be present. I ain't talking about getting them somewhere to live, support. You need to support them physically. He made a good point, and mentally. If it wasn't for family, yeah, I'd be a awesome criminal.
Oh yeah, if it wasn't for my family, I'd be somewhere in jail right now. Honest with you.
And quiet as it's kept, Pastor Egg should have been locked up swinging the bat. He just didn't get caught.
And that's the only difference between
That's
me and some.
grace. That's mercy.
That's why anytime I go to jail and preach, that's the first thing I let them know that, hey, I'm not here because I think I'm that and some. The only difference between me and you is you got caught, I didn't. That's the only difference.
Therefore, by the grace of God, go out.
But therefore, by the grace of God, I can't sit here and say that I've been always walking the right line, and even still, I have my faults.
Y'all made me miss my orientation.
Yeah. What they do? They just pass the stuff out, right?
No, I registered already.
So what?
When I got there, it was just like what the suggestions of what they want me to do. But I'm here with people that have been here before, so I'm good. I know what I'm going. I already know my electives are.
Is different classes you can take?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's from 7 in the morning to 4:30 every evening. So they let them out at 4 o'clock today because it was big. You know, the hotel full, people registering, and they want everybody to make it to this evening's session at 7.
So is the difference of different breakout rooms or one major room?
Yeah. Oh, the whole hotel is this conference for the next 5 days.
So it's about 3,000-4,000 people.
No, I would say it's a good 2,500 people. Because the hotel is huge. There are other things that are happening in the hotel, but one side of the banquet facilities on the north side is all going to be filled with our classes, and every night we're going to have the main ballroom for our general sessions.
Okay, so you're pretty
then
excited.
They breaking it down because it's women and men.
All right.
So they're breaking it down. So what we're doing now is just getting our assignments, getting our position. And I came up above the lobby to talk with y'all before the show was over to see if Pastor Taylor had came up with any more solutions to the criminal or the crime in our communities.
Oh, we said a few more. That's what we do. We're having a discussion about different ways you can do this. So you got another one?
No,
You see, you say
I
being
wanted to hear
lives.
what
Yeah.
y'all had to say.
We don't want to backtrack. We just keep moving forward. We don't hear stuff all again. So we'll keep kind of moving forward. Yeah, you didn't blanked out. I think you lost his internet signal. Yeah. One thing about that stuff, one thing I find when you search sometimes interference, and when you wear a lot of radar stuff, you got a lot of interference too. Anyway.
No,
Yeah,
somebody was trying to call me, and I declined. I hope it wasn't my wife, because then I'm in trouble.
Yeah. So that's a good thing about the session, man. Hopefully, who knows? They might switch up a little bit. Did they add anything with all what's going on with the pandemic and the violence? Have they altered anything, or just business as usual?
No. This is never business as usual.
But I mean, I'm saying, is it same? Like it's the same type of class that was 3 years ago? Sometimes
I've never
been
been to this particular conference.
Oh, okay, so I knew you. Okay.
I was told that this was better than some of the other ones that I've gone to.
Oh, okay.
It breaks it down. It's more personal. There are small group discussions where you can talk to someone who has a campus ministry where they have 3-4 campuses or 2 locations, and they'll sit and they'll talk with you about what's your vision, what's your niche, what are you doing to advance the kingdom of God? Okay. What's your next? Yeah. That's the new thing now. It's not the next level. It's like, what is your next?
Yeah.
What's your next?
Actually, because like one of the largest conferences in the United States called the NRB conference, the National Religious Broadcasting Network. And the thing is, they have one of the largest in the United States. And one thing with them, when the pandemic came up and the violence, their conference wasn't. I watched their conference from online. It's online streaming. It wasn't the same thing. They altered it and added some things because of the pandemic. They added some things because of COVID. They added some things because of the violence. They added some things because of the George Floyd and the race. They added some things to the conference. Wouldn't have been added had those things not taken place. That's this conference.
I don't know nothing about broadcasting.
It's not broadcasting. The National NRB, you can notice here, NRB helps protect what you're in too. NRB, National Religious Broadcasting Network, that's what they do. They protect the rights of believers and Christians to broadcast, even with WVTC. Whether they're a member or not, they still help protect religious broadcasts. One time to ice out those things. So, like say, whether it's a Word Network or whether it's what's the other one, TBN, all those are members of NRB. CLN Network. Okay. That's part of it. That's what my children's show was on for many years. Is that they're a network? They first started as an organization. To help and make sure that the FCC and people like that don't muscle out the Christians because it's restricting stuff. So basically, so when they have their conference, you got people like Tony Evans, you got them John MacArthur, you got people, you got TJ, people all over to come to their conferences be like 10,000 people come to their conference. It'd be like off the chain. They have Sony, Panasonic. They have all. It's huge. It's one of the biggest. Okay. They take up. They like that. So basically,
one of the biggest. One of the biggest.
They about the biggest.
Well,
now
the thing is, I can say pre-pandemic, we were 40, 50,000 in the one city. Okay. Now the problem with us, and I'm talking about my National Baptist Convention. The problem with us, we'd have 50,000 people in the city, but we'd only have 30, maybe 25 registered.
So what y'all had a stadium booked?
Oh yeah, when we did St. Louis, when the Rams was there, we had the Rams Stadium.
Okay,
and everything around it.
Okay. Now, here the thing. Here what they do. They basically they come from everything from broadcasting. Like I said, And major, huge Panasonic and Sony and JVC. They had major guys that come in actually sponsoring things.
That's
So
selling something.
they're not listen. Okay, all right. You want to listen? Okay, and learn something for a change. Okay, here the thing is, it's like Willow Creek Ministry in Illinois. They want a large ministry, and their media ministry is like almost like, oh my God. So they basically would tell pastors that them guys, they're not to sell, how to use that stuff effectively in your ministry, like that, you know. So it's like that. That's what it's about. But long story short, the main thing I was saying was they altered a lot of their conference based on the current affairs. They didn't change everything about it. That's what this conference are they going to be just strictly just this is what it is. We don't care what's going on outside the world, or add some things based upon what's going on. If you can't answer, I understand. Maybe you might not know. You new to this, so you might not know. You breaking up really bad. We can't hear you. And if you hear us, you can hear us. If you can hear us, we can't hear you. You're breaking up really bad. You sound like a little like one of those little Toy Story toys. Like when what's his name? Bus. They broke the toy and Bus was talking. It's like that, man. It sounds like that. Like Alvin and Chipmunks right now. You sound like Theodore.
I'm not saying
Now you're back.
I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything.
Oh, you're breaking up really bad.
I stepped outside.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything. I'm listening.
Okay, yeah.
Because you said I can learn something.
Good. So basically, what you do is you do a conference. Maybe next Monday's show, you can find people there. Was anything different than was previous years? Because they may added something. They may added more of this because of what's going on. They adjust. Some conferences don't adjust. They don't care what it is. They don't stick what it is.
All right. Back to the violence.
Yeah.
Back to the.
That's
violence.
what I'm saying. Yeah, okay. Back to the violence. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Back to the
what do we do? What do we do here? What's the next move?
Hey, let me ask you all a question. Our listeners that are listening now around. What suggestion do you think that we should have as far as what do you think that we can do? We got one from Minister Harris as far as start at home. What suggestion would you all say?
Yeah.
That you thinking? Well, I know one thing. We got to be able to we need to get out and vote. We need to get out and vote and get the right people in the right positions in the right spots. Because we have people that are in our government that should not be there if we went and voted. Like number 45, there's nowhere in the world he should have been ever president. Not once. But due to the fact is we don't vote. He got in. With him getting in, even our Supreme Court is set up against us. So we have to get and vote. That's one of the things to me that, like I said, until we get out on one accord and pick the right people, and that means that we got to get the right people running. Not a lot of the crooks that are running nowadays.
That's what you said was a key mouthful there, because we only represent a small percentage of the votes. What you said was key. I think we have to start grooming people to position them to be able to run for these offices. And I think that would help a lot too, because sometimes we only represent exactly all black people to get Obama, and it was a lot of the white people who have Obama in too. I mean, let's just keep it real. So the thing is, we have to start growing people now if we can. These young people that's tight, and get them ready to groom them and so they can get in position. That's one thing I hate to bring this up because they open a big can of worms. I watched this special one time. They saw me the LBG, and that stuff like that. That's what they did years ago. It was meetings they had, and basically kind of strategically got people ready to move in position. It was all undercover, just like you said with the 19, Pastor Clarence say the 19 did the same way. They did the same type of strategic. They had people ready. They groomed them, got them ready, and positioned them. So they got ready to make. They say that gays it. They had people in key positions all ready to do things. So that's what we have to do too. We have to get people in key positions.
Now, earlier when I was saying in preparation for this, I was talking to different people, and one of their suggestions
to correct or curtail some of the violence in Chicago was to get rid of the chocolate city at the top, from the mayor to the police superintendent to the state's attorney to the local attorney, because all of them of African American descent, and nobody sees what good they're doing in those positions. So yes, I say vote. I say vote, but I say vote not only with a conscience, but with an understanding that no matter what color they are, they're only governing the affairs of other people with power.
Okay.
Did I drop the mic? What happened?
I'm just listening. Yeah, I'm just listening. And I was gonna go back. I was gonna bag up number 45. Number 5. I will forever know the guy put number 45 there. And actually, truthfully, honestly, everybody don't jump through the screen. Number 45 says some purpose because he definitely exposed the narrative on a lot of things.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
So,
he had to come across. Yeah,
I'm glad that he hit there because he made some things right in our face was always there that we needed to see from every part, not just people of color, people of not, other people need to see really what things look like.
Yeah, he definitely exposed the narrative.
So that was, someone's living with blinders, and our sunglasses been too dark. Trump cleared them glasses up for it. He took the fog out of it. So some things he did, so I can look back and say it was a blessing he was in there, because some things.
Hey, don't
wow.
forget, Trump was the fuse, but Obama was the powder keg that got you to Trump.
Because he did nothing?
No.
Why?
No, because he won. Because he won, you had a group of people with an agenda to make sure he couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's been said lots of times. One day talking about one day conspiracy. It's been said too that it's a group of people that groomed him from day one, that was part of the master plan to get him in office, to do a lot of things he did and to prove a lot of things. It's been said, and that's another bunch of theories, but what we can talk about one day is that he was groomed. And I kind of believe a lot of theories I heard from different people say he was groomed. And he did a lot of things that was absolutely nothing.
The urban myth is it met with State Representative Jones told Barack Obama one day in his office, "You could be president," and that's what made him believe it.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that.
That's the urban legend.
Now I wasn't speaking about that might be, but I wasn't speaking on urban legend. I was speaking about sometimes it's actually people know, just like it was a spirit to kill John F. Kennedy, there's sometimes spiritual things going on to put people in a position to do stuff. It's been going on for years. And that'd be a good show to talk about. I bring some different things to point of views, people, and maybe it could be really deep about it. But
talking about the Illuminati.
It's a lot of things.
Illuminati, brother.
It's
all
real.
right. Well, you know something.
It's real.
That's real. That's for another subject.
Don't get afraid. It's real.
That's for another day.
I can't really go into that really deep, but it's real.
Well, that's for another subject. That's for another day. But thank you for listening and exposing the narrative.
Don't get scared. Hey, Pastor Claire. They like, oh yeah, don't talk about that now, y'all.
No.
They be tapping on my door.
I got an email from a while ago. But that being said, you've been listening to WVTC Radio.
Yes.
Through Christ, stellar award-winning WVTC Radio. This is Exposing the Narrative with Frankie D.
No, I'm just laughing. Tae, I was able to do that intro sign. That was funny. Tae, everybody.
And our brother out in California right now. We love you all, and there's nothing you can do about it. We'll see you all next week.
No, blessed night. Praise God. All right.
Be blessed.
Love you, brothers. Take care,
love
brothers.
you guys.
I know.
Views made on the preceding program are not those of WVTC Radio, iNetworks Communications, or their financial supporters.
Winning victory through Christ.